Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to episode 11 of the Reinvent Your Reality Podcast. My name is Jen Palco. So happy you could join me here today on another lovely day, another lovely podcast. And today we're going to talk about people pleasing and why it's so hard for many of us to say no. Now, it could be family, it could be friends, it could be whoever, people at work. It's very hard for us to set our boundaries. And I wanted to do a podcast on this today because I think it's a really, really, really important issue that a lot of us can benefit from talking about. Why we feel so guilty for saying no to people. Now, this conversation is, I'm a member of a bunch of acupuncture Facebook groups, and somebody in one of the groups posed a question yesterday or whenever it was, sometime this week, saying that she had friends who kept texting her and reaching out to her, wanting appointments, and it was off her normal hour schedule. And she's like, should I do it? I feel so bad if I don't, but I'm really not feeling it. I really don't feel good. And everybody responded like, dude, say no. Say no. Your self-care, you need to charge yourself up first. You can't give from an empty cup, right? Or pour from an empty cup, whatever the saying is. I don't know what it is, but we have so much trouble saying no in life. So much trouble. And it's like, where does this come from? Where does this guilt, this shame come from? We feel like we're a bad person. We feel like we're going to be judged because we're setting boundaries. Or a lot of us don't have boundaries at all. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, this little bit of discussion on setting boundaries, why it's really important, why it's important to charge your batteries up, because you're not doing anybody a service, including your good friends. Okay. So, if your car is on empty, it's not going to go very far. Same with your body, right? If your car is on empty, if it's completely on empty, zero, it's not going to do anything, right? You could get out, you could try to push it, but chances are you're going to hurt yourself. And that's the same way with when you don't set boundaries, when you have trouble saying no to people and you're focused more on the other person than on yourself. Now, it's okay. We want to be good people. We want to be good human beings. We want to help our friends out. We want to help our families out. Of course, we want to do a good job at work and all these things. But you have to recognize when it's time to say no, when your body is saying don't do it, versus when you're just feeling guilty. You're doing things out of guilt, okay? You're no longer doing things out of love. You're doing things out of fear. Fear of judgment. Fear of what will people think? I'll be a bad person, right? So, we have these bodies and we have an energy field around our bodies. We have something called Wei Qi, which is our defensive qi in Chinese medicine. And when we have holes in this aura, or, when our defenses are down, we don't set boundaries, things come into our world. It creates illness and creates an environment of us feeling resentful or blaming people for asking us for help. I used to feel this way, when I was doing a lot of acupuncture, and I get drained easily when I'm treating people, because it's hard on your body to give a lot. You give a lot of energy. Depends on what type of person you are. I'm the type of person where I can't see 60 people in a day. I'm sorry, I'd be in the hospital. But so it requires a lot of energy requirements to give to people. So I would find myself sometimes running on empty and really, really depleted. And what would happen is that I would start feeling resentful towards patients or to people I was treating or people who I'm supposed to be helping. And I was feeling only resentful because I was running on empty so much. I wasn't doing enough self-care for myself. I was very blood deficient. All these things were distorting my own brain, distorting my own mind and my view and my perception of things. And I was no longer coming from a place of love. So this is why it's important to set boundaries, because especially if you're a practitioner, or if you just want to be a good human being, you want to do good for other people, doing it from a place of just feeling guilty about it, it's less about the other person. And that's all about you. It's all about you and why you feel guilty in the first place. Okay. So it's about self-respect. It's about self-respect, because when you're always giving, and never giving to yourself, or you're always giving to others, you're pretty much telling yourself, I don't respect myself enough. I don't have enough self-worth, right? And no one can make you feel guilty for saying no. It's only your perception of yourself. So people pleasing can become almost like an addiction. We know this. And often it's a sign of our inner child. We're looking for acceptance or validation or anything of the sort. So it's not so much that we're trying to be a good person. It's more that we're trying to look for things external to validate us. So again, you aren't doing yourself or anybody else any favors by caving. Okay? Again, coming from a place of fear, not love. So the big thing about setting boundaries is you have to communicate upfront. And, any true friend will understand, will respect your honesty, rather than you lying about it or you pretending that you want to help somebody when you really don't, because you're running on empty. Now, if somebody has an issue, or they're judging you, it could be that they're a master manipulator. And what master manipulators do, they look for holes in our auras. They look for areas where we're weak, and they take advantage of that. Or on the other hand, if you've always said yes to certain things, then you all of a sudden putting up your boundaries is going to confuse somebody. Yes, it's going to confuse a friend, but realize that that is all being in your head, okay? Because if you care so much about being judged or what the other person thinks, and you never give yourself a chance to recharge, your battery is always on 1%, then it's going to wreak havoc on your body eventually. It's going to wreak havoc on your body eventually. Yeah. So you can be a good friend, and you probably are a good friend, but you're not a damn punching bag. You're not a freaking punching bag. So don't let anybody take advantage of you. And by you setting your boundaries or saying, no, I'm sorry, I can't help you today, that's not saying that you can never help at any time. It's not saying you can't help tomorrow, the next day when you feel better. It's saying, I'm sorry, I have to set these boundaries today. I don't feel well. And you have to sometimes put yourself first and realize that by you saying no today doesn't mean that you're not saying no forever. Okay, that's the thing we get in our heads about. We're like, well, if I say no, then they're not going to be friends with me anymore. Of course they will. Again, they should respect your honesty if they're a good friend. If they don't, then maybe relook at the friendship, right? Let's see. Cultural programming. That's another thing I wanted to talk about. We're always programmed that we should just give to others. We need to go, work, do, and never really take the time for ourselves. Again, you are not a punching bag. You are not a punching bag. Okay? So don't feel bad about it. And one of the last points I wanted to bring up was to reframe your guilt. Why does it have to be bad? Why does it have to be, we feel guilty, right? Why do we feel bad about it? Why is it a bad thing? Why don't we reframe it to a good thing? Self-pleasure, right? It's that fear. It's that fear of judgment. It's crazy. So I'm not going to make this too long today. I just thought it was an interesting thing about setting boundaries, because it's really important to keep ourselves healthy, keep our minds healthy, keep our spirit healthy, keep our body healthy so we don't get sick, obviously, because then we're not helping anybody. Not helping anybody, including ourselves. So set your boundaries up front, communicate them, don't feel bad about it. The only reason why you feel bad about saying no is because you've always said yes, or because you have this fear. But this fear of how you're going to be perceived, you have a fear of confrontation, or you're trying to avoid confrontation, or you're trying to avoid conflict that hasn't happened yet. It hasn't freaking happened yet. But in your head, you're playing out this story of confrontation, of somebody accusing you of being a bad person. But that's all in your mind. It is in your mind. It's an illusion created by yourself. The mind is a very tricky thing. It's a very powerful thing. It really is. But don't let it fool you, okay? This is important right now because a lot of people aren't taking time for themselves, and they're giving, but they're giving from a place of resentment. They're giving from a place of guilt. They're giving from a place of these lower vibrational states. And it's really not doing anybody justice. It's really not doing anybody any favors. You can always refer out. You can always defer to somebody else who can be a little more effective than you today, if you're not feeling up to it today. So just because you've always said yes doesn't mean that you have to continue saying yes. And just because you sometimes say no doesn't mean that you will always say no. So get rid of the black and white thinking and get back to that gray middle area and take it day by day, okay? Present moment is all you have. Your body is all you have. You are all you have. So the more you're in your head and the more you are projecting things that aren't true, the less satisfied you're going to be in life, okay? And if you do not put up any boundaries for yourself, you don't put any shield up, then all of these influences are going to overwhelm your system and attack you. It's like not having an immune system at all, right? Everything just invades your body, and what happens? You croak. You're left with nothing. You're on 0%. I mean, you respect your phone enough to charge your phone up because you want to use it, but you don't respect yourself enough to charge yourself up because you want to use it. You want to use your body. You want to use your mind. We don't value ourselves enough. We don't value our bodies enough. We're at the point where we value technology more than our vessel, our system, right? Who we are. So anyway, I won't make this too long. Just wanted to talk about it a little today. I hope you're having a lovely day. I hope everything is going well. If you want more information, more content, I have a YouTube channel. I put out weekly videos. I try to do this podcast weekly. I have a new book out, 12-Step Guide for the Self-Help Book Addict, that was published in December. So if you want to check that out, it's on Amazon, it's on barnesandnoble.com, other online retailers, or you can go to my website, www.jenpalco.com, and check it out. And have a great day, and I'll talk to you on the next podcast. Peace.